Going live. We're live. Good evening, folks, folkettes, or whatever you identify as in the free world. Welcome to the Omega Files. We are here to get a little bit caught up and discuss the opening 2 episodes for the new series. Whether you call it, well, I don't know. They're calling it season 1, of course, because they're trying to sell this over on Disney Plus, as being a new series, while also trying to stay in contact with the previous, series and eras that have, come before, which they've done, in the first 2 episodes. I got to admit, they really went to some links to make sure that, people understand, yes, the legacy is still there. And we'll discuss those scenes here in a bit. All right, so joining me tonight, we've got AJ, we got Dr. Commentary, we got William, and right off the bat, we're going to start with Space Babies, and I'm going to ask you all for what, you thought about Space Babies, and then we'll rate it, and then we'll move on to The Devil's Chord, okay? So we're going to start at the top. AJ, what did you think of Space Babies, and what did it come off to you at?
To me, this story felt more like a Matt Smith era story. I don't know, just the lunacy of babies in space, and I reckon I would love to have seen Matt Smith's reaction to babies in space and the way he would have said it too. I can imagine in my head, but I can't vocalize it because I don't have that skill. But the lunacy of babies in space, yeah, okay, I get it. It's a little bit wacky. It's a little bit out there. The one thing I didn't like was the mouth movement for the babies. You could clearly see the CGI for the baby's mouth, and I was like, it just stood out like it just was right there in the middle of the screen when the babies are talking. It didn't look good to me. But it was an okay story. I wouldn't say, hammer it down hard, but it was just odd to say the least.
Okay, DWC, what did you think of Space Babies?
All right, well, my usual format. And like that, Doctor Who continues right where we left off at Christmas, with Ruby walking right into the TARDIS, and the Doctor provides one of the most unnatural sounding info dumps about who he is just to get the new viewers up to speed. And we also learned that the TARDIS has butterfly compensators. The very concept of Space Babies really sets the tone of how Davis wants to start this series, by easing us all in with something comedic, and is a worthy effort, but unfortunately no amount of CGI can make a talking baby look natural. Also, it really was hard to buy the idea that babies, this clearly underdeveloped, even though they could talk, were capable of manning a station. The Bogeyman was a great work of technical engineering to actually look terrifying, and continues with the comedic theme by being actually being made of bogies. Also, to all those worried about the Americanization of Doctor Who, note that they said Bogeyman and bogies, not Boogeyman and boogers. In other words, they made a British joke. By the end, it seemed confusing, as the Bogeyman was created out of imagination anyway. Why was the Doctor determined to save it? And the babies were so scared before. Why were they so upset about Jocelyn killing it? All in all, Space Babies is a good attempt at a fun episode, but a bit of a mess plot-wise. But just who is Ruby, and why does it snow wherever she goes?
Unless we're talking a bad case of dandruff. Okay, no. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. Okay, William.
Hey, now, for a new season, in you can say the first episode, Christmas is Christmas. It's not a bad concept of the script, considering, remember, this is a science fiction program. I wish the kids would have been a little bit aged up, like 6, 7, 8, like that. And just like DWC's saying that, the concept of the kids creating this a booger monster, whatever, was a little bit unusual. I actually thought was something radiation created. Like maybe it was a child that was affected by the radiation leak somewhere. When it was said was what it was created, I was like, that don't make no sense. And the thing that well, I got a little bit confused because you see them that they're pulling string like that to make the push buttons like that, and then later on in the episode, they try to go down and fight the creature. Like, if you could do that and make certain contraptions, could you invent something like give you like artificial legs movement and hand movement, for you to just push it and it does, have a bigger function, than you pulling strings. I don't know if if they still had equipment to do that like that, because I mean, they might be babies, but their mind has adult. So I would say they should have thought of a robotic artificial legs or arms like that to help them more better. And considering they have something's there that, you got something to making them, feeding them and changing the nappies, and burping them like that. But so I mean, I don't know if it was ever mentioned in an episode that if they were low on equipment like that, but I know they had no real fuel to be able to go to the planet until the doctor created his own jet fuel force source. So that was pretty smart. But it's not a bad episode, but it's just a little wonky. That's the best way to say it. Maybe the kid should have been a little bit more adult. That's my opening statement.
Okay, the first thing that struck me when I watched Space Babies, when they first arrive on the station, you're looking around at all these bubbling vats containing babies, and I'm like, oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into here? That's kind of creepy. But to me, it was entertaining. It was funny. I'll give it that. But also it gave us, probably what's going to be our first, good drinking game of the Gotway era. Take a shot every time he says space babies in this episode. And also, yeah, we've started to delve into the questions around, Ruby's Sunday. And I like that, they slipped that bit in there just to remind us, okay, there's something else going on here. And also now the doctor, though, seems to be recalling being there when the baby was dropped off and the mother's walking away. Because he even stated he suddenly had more of that memory, and when the figure turns around and points at him, and then that's when the snow appeared. Basically saying, no, you don't want to go there, because, as we all know, we've seen, from Father's Day and all that, just how easily time can get mucked up, especially for paradoxes. And, if the doctor shows up and the doctor was already there, and then you got Ruby as a baby, and then Ruby showing up, next thing you know, you got Reapers. But that's for you folks who need to go back and watch the show since 2000, the 2005 Eccleston era. Get a chance, do it. But I kind of agree with some of you here. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why it suddenly became important to save the snot monster down below, when it was only geared and made, as I believe DWC said, it was made to be scary. It was even emitting this noise that made the doctor scared because of the hertz and the frequency it used. And now all of a sudden, everybody's crying because the snot monster is going to get blown out into space. And the snot monster was created off an educational program. It wasn't even a genuine life form. But now all of a sudden we're going crazy and we're equating it to being the only one of its kind and all this blah, blah, blah. But so that bit got confusing with me, as to why, they decided to save it, and risk your life to save it when it probably wasn't even a genuine being to begin with. Was it even sentient? I doubt it. It was snot. It was bogeys, as you said before. Yeah, every time I heard the term bogey, I started thinking of for you folks who've read the R.R. Martin Undead series, you'll know which part I'm referring to about it'll have bogeys in it. Okay. Okay, but like I said, it kept me entertained. It also intrigued me a bit, with the Ruby Sunday thing, and him warning her that's the one place we can't go. Plus, like I said, I still can't figure out for the life of me how stepping on an insect back in the old days is going to change history when just about every species from that era was wiped out 65 million years ago. But I don't know. That's the butterfly effect. It's a whole different theory. And like I said, then you're going into temporal physics and all this stuff. So I don't even want to contemplate that any further. But it was kind of funny that she turned into this critter with antennae. Oh, go ahead, AJ. Sorry.
Yeah, I had an idea about that. It seems like the theme for this series is that reality is so broken that stories, ideas, and mythologies are becoming reality. So Ruby says in the TARDIS, if I step on a butterfly, I'm going to change the future of the human race. And then steps on a butterfly and becomes a butterfly person.
I didn't even think of that. That is a very interesting observation. Yeah, it does seem to be that, come on, look at, the Newton thing back in the special, everyone's saying Mavity all of a sudden. Now we have, as you said, Ruby stepping on a butterfly and turning into this strange butterfly creature that I'm not even going to try to recite the lines, that she gave as this butterfly being. But, okay, like I said, but I was at least entertained. So I can't rate the episode too lowly. But at the same time, I really don't put it as one of RTD's best either. All right, so I'm going to start it off. I'm going to give Space Babies, I'm going to give it a 7 because it was entertaining. It was funny. It did give us a little intrigue and mystery, but it wasn't quite all the way up there at the top of the scale. It entertained me, and I think that's the main reason why I'm giving up on, giving such a high score on that one. AJ, what'd you give it out of 10?
Because a fart saved the day and made the ship move, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
I know. I even got a laugh out of the sound effect they played when they opened up that cargo, that hold. All right, William.
Well, before I give my rating, I gotta mention, what's unusual was the adult woman, the nanny. You can say the nanny there, because she didn't want to come out and deal with the children, because, and I'm saying, well, they're gonna die. I said, what do you mean they're gonna die? They're aging like you are. The only thing is their body's not growing up. So either you're gonna die before them, or they're gonna pass away, and those other ones that's in the incubator is gonna wake up. Well, I think, to take their place. So you her locking herself up made a little bit no sense. So I was like, that bugged me out a little bit there. So my rate, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And it's not like I said, we have seen worse episodes. I'm telling you right there, but could have been, like the questions we've been asking, and of course, to me, the kids could have been a little bit older, 5, 6, 7, like that, more better at that. So I give it that. I give it that.
Oh yeah, somebody mentioned. I forgot to mention that bit about when they mentioned Starfleet and all that, and the doctor says, "Yeah, we're gonna have to visit them sometime." Something like that. So that was an interesting tidbit as well. Okay, DWC, what did you give this out of 10?
Frankly, there were lots of things that I didn't quite like about it. First, we talked about the babies. I was kind of confused about the idea that they did grow up mentally, but their bodies stayed as kids, which I think is what they were trying to get at. But I did not really get that at all. Like I said, I didn't understand that these kids seemed so underdeveloped mentally, but I didn't understand how they could work a ship. Also, the Doctor in this one, there's some bits about him that I think really a bit off here. One, he seems I know he's trying to be funny, but he's a little bit narcissistic by saying, "I am beautiful, aren't I?" That wasn't rhetorical. Oh, you're wanting reassurance for that. Also, why the hell was he scaring the babies? At that point, there's literally a point where they're talking about the boogeyman's going, "Boogeyman! What the hell? What are you doing that for? It's a horrible thing to do." But with that and more. Oh, and how were they able to rig all that? Well, it's not even machinery either out, but all those toys and things to rig. How did they rig that? And all the graffiti on the walls. Okay, they're strapped to their prams. How did they get their arms that far? But I'm going on a tangent. But anyway, my rating, in spite of how much you've heard me say things I like, it was still okay, but I've given it a 6.
Okay, then. All right, let's move on to The Devil's Chord. Now, this one was kind of interesting. A lot of people, did seem to like this one. I want to hear your guys' opinions on it. Then I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to mix the order up a little bit. Let's start with William. What do you think of Devil's Chord?
Let's get one thing straight. I'm not going to get into the ending part till later on. The episode itself was not bad. I love the part when the doctor tells Ruby, down there, I'm living down there with my granddaughter right now. That tells right there, he's telling somebody, I'm a parent. I have kids. I have a granddaughter. I might look young, but I'm not young. So get that, that tells for the fans are thinking that the kissy face doctor is going to be back. That's out. And I didn't care about the you said the toy maker's daughter playing by this actor like that. It didn't bother me at all. I had seen movies and other shows that you seen men dress in drag, for like spies or villains or even trying to be gay. Hey, the Hitchcock Psycho had Norman Bates dressed as his mom, because that was a plot point at that. But so this one being the Celestial Toymaker's daughter, I don't care who played it. It didn't bother me at all. I don't care. But I got a little bit. I'm very upset that all this Disney money went into make this show, and they could have spent a little extra to put one Beatles song. One song. I mean, even the opening song of that bugged me out. That really. And then the same day that Doctor Who was airing on Disney Plus, they showing the Beatles thing on Disney Channel, Disney Plus. I'm like, whoa! Couldn't you put one song? Jeez, it made no sense. The Tormentor's daughter doesn't bother me. Great idea though. The opening, the way it popped out and killed the guy, for releasing her in the out of the piano like that. That bugged me out. Like, whoa, that's pretty cool. The episode wasn't that bad. Not bad. Good to see that the McCartney, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon got together in the end to play the notes to defeat the villain. I loved it. Now we got to hit the freaking nail on the head. What happened after all that? They do a song and dance. I got so ticked off. Man, that ruined the rest of the story. They could have put that what they did as a bonus in the DVD. The ending for that story would have been Ruby dragging the doctor to look in the window to take a peek at Susan. Just to confirm that he's really a grandfather. He didn't made it up. And then of course they walked back to the TARDIS. He wasn't going to talk to her or like that. And of course the actress who did the Adventure Space and Time could have had that little cameo right there. That's it. That's all they needed for the ending of the episode. And everybody would have been clapping and giving a thumbs up and no complaints whatsoever. None. I think Russell T. Davies in this one is adding his life in this story. Because he's a gay man. He wants everybody to experience his life. The problem is, yes, you are a gay man. And yes, there are gay people and all this and that all over in the world. But you are a small minority since Doctor Who started in 1963. That's what you don't think that in tonight's episode I gotta watch it tomorrow. Every episode now for Nama is gonna be so nitpick, whether it has DEI, all this nonsense in it. It's gonna be so nitpick, and that's sad. That is very sad for a show that's been on the air for 60 plus years. I don't know how the season's gonna end. The mystery of Ruby Rose, because now nobody cares. It really people don't give a damn, and that's sad. And I feel I'm a little bit worried that when this season ends, I don't think the merchandising or DVDs is gonna sell. It's not. I don't want it to feel like that. But Russell T. Davies, you gotta face reality. You can't put too much of you in the show. You've done it before, and it worked well in the Eccleston and Tennant run you did. don't go bunkers on it. It's gonna bite you right in the ass because the Disney Plus already paid for the 3 seasons. That's right now the third one's being filmed. After that, they might not even give you no more money. So then you gotta go rely and hoping BBC One would give you money, which is not gonna be the same as what Disney did, and that's sad. I mean, the musical wasn't bad, but again, it shouldn't have been in the episode. Considering you wasn't even playing a Beatles song. It makes no sense. You could even play the song from the '60s from other groups that's probably not in the public domain. That probably nobody owns the rights to it now. Easily, somebody could have done their homework on that. That's sad that little 2.5 minutes musical ruined not a bad episode. Not a bad episode. And that pisses me off. I'm gonna mention something else later on, but I'm gonna let the other people talk. Go ahead, host.
Sorry about that. My vaporizer was running out. My fault. Technical difficulties. Okay, DWC. Let's hear your take on Devil's Court.
Well, first of all, one thing I'm going to say that Maestro wasn't actually the toy maker's daughter; it was the toy maker's child. Maestro very clearly says that they're non-binary, and frankly, I don't think I'm not going to get.
I'm going to say child. I'm just saying child or daughter, son, because just the way I look at it. She's his daughter, even though they're not binary, but I'm just the way they made it look like that.
Yeah. Well, frankly, I'm not going to get so angry about a 2-minute dancing. Anyway, my thing with the last episode being an attempt at being fun, this episode it has an attempt at being sinister, with Jinx Monsoon bringing a great performance as the zany Maestro, child of the toy maker, introducing us to more of the pantheon that Davis informed us was coming. One question that was asked was how do you make an episode involving the Beatles making their first appearance since The Chase with no Beatles music? The answer is take all the good music out of the world or face the wrath of the scary and intimidating power of Maestro. While being an engaging story, this episode also continues the world building around Ruby to the point that even the Pantheon would know someone connected to her. And this episode finally brings up the 19-year-old mystery about Susan, which is the doctor doesn't know if she's alive or not. And we got a nice nod to Pyramids of Mars. Overall, this episode was intense, exciting, and added much needed info. And I hope for a quick return of Maestro, which, guessing by a part of the musical segment, clearly done to give fans who want a musical episode a taste of what they want, will return soon. But until then, the one who waits is almost here.
Okay, AJ, you go on ahead.
Okay, for me, this episode, it felt kind of flat. The whole idea of, I'm going to say this flat out, I am sick to death of these over-the-top, wacky villain characters. It worked for John Sim, it worked for Michelle Gomez, but it's getting done to the point now where it's like almost every big villain has to be wacky and over the top. I'm sick of it. You had like Omega, who was sinister, he was quiet, he was steady, he moved cautiously. He wasn't like he did bombastic voice and loudness and whatnot. That's fine, great, okay, but not sitting there cackling wildly while leaping around like a lunatic. It would have been more sinister if this character was slow moving, steady, methodical. For me, steal the music out of the world, take all the joy out of the universe. Okay, you don't have to be the Joker to do it. I wish it was even maybe they put a more of a twist on the story where instead of stealing the music out of the universe, they made deals with these musicians. You know, I'm going to give you fame and fortune, but in so many years, I'm going to come back for you and I'm going to ruin you, but you'll have all that fame and fortune to lean back on later on. Something to that effect, like a devil's bargain with like Crowley from Supernatural or something. Something to that effect would have been, I think, in my mind, better, where the Doctor had a challenge to try and retroactively save these people to see if he can, but he can't, you know, because it's all part of history. You know, the band's going to eventually break up and all that. I like the beginning part of the story where the kid at the piano talking about how his name was Harbinger, basically Harbinger. You know, he's sitting there playing on the piano and his teacher gets, you know, the music sucked out of him and dies. But then, funny thing, we see the maestro take the kid out of existence, like the kid didn't exist. But then the kid shows up at the end of the story during the montage, the singing and dancing montage. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. I did. So maybe the kid is the one who waits. Maybe, I don't know. Also, I noticed the Sonic in this episode too. The color of it changed. In the previous couple of episodes, it was blue and gold. In this one, it was red and silver, I think. If you see when he puts it into the console, he was using it. It's red. The body of it's red. So I think this further establishes that reality itself is breaking down. There's no real consistency into what's happening between episode to episode of the continuity. That's maybe why the Doctor's outfit is constantly changing, because previous versions, they kept a very consistent outfit from story to story with minor changes here and there from seasons. So I'm not entirely sure if that's what they're going for. Also, what they were wearing at the beginning of the episode was perfectly fine for the 60s. They looked like they fit in the 60s, the way the Doctor was dressed and Ruby was dressed. There was no need for them to go running off to the TARDIS to change. I thought they were fine. So far, again, this one left me a little bit underwhelmed.
Okay.
Could I just make a brief point about something AJ said?
Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, AJ, you said that you don't want these. You're sick of zany villains, and that said, "Oh, we had Missy." Okay, Jinx Monsoon has actually acknowledged that she based her entire character on a combination of Disney villains, and Jinx Monsoon is a fan of Doctor Who, and also based her performance on Michelle Gomez's portrayal of Missy. So you've got that.
But the problem is, it's becoming the standard, and it shouldn't be the standard. What's wrong with having a villain who's calm, cautious, and has that menacing presence without being a Fruit Loop that looks like a fruitcake?
Well, in this context, I think it was they wanted to make. I think they wanted them to be somewhat connected to the toy maker, or Neil Patrick Harris's toy maker.
Well, it was nice to see Susan Twist as a little cameo, and as the lunch lady. Well, I think that David Tyler saying what was Bette Midler. Bette Midler,
that's what I thought too when I was watching the episode. Like, why is Bette Midler here from South Park?
No, I was thinking it was more like a deranged Ethel Merman. That's the first thing that popped into my head, but it's mainly because I was remembering this number from the movie Airplane. But
wasn't she that crazy mom from It's a Mad World? Ethel Merman?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's right. Jesus.
But okay. I gotta agree with David Tyler there. Yeah, the character was a tad over the top. Okay, I'm gonna start at the beginning here because oh goodness, people are not gonna like me, but I gotta say it. Batman villain, and I'm not talking modern movie Batman. Unless you're talking about maybe Batman Forever, or Batman and Robin. What was the name of the director of those again? I tried to burn it out of my brain.
Schumacher.
Yeah, the Schumacher ones. Yeah.
Yeah, Schumacher.
But like I said, when at my first few minutes into this episode, all I kept thinking was, when's Adam West and Burt Ward going to come running around the corner to resolve the plot? I'm not the character was way too over the top, way too corny. Like I said, it reminded me of the one time my school tried to put on a production of Grease. Okay, it just I'm sorry. Like I said, I got nothing against the act, but every time I've watched this, I watched this twice now, and I'm sitting there thinking, my gosh, what's going on here? Because whatever happened to the days when a villain, as AJ stated, could be subtle yet menacing, sinister yet disturbing. And why does all these villains these days have to be so over the top? And I'm not talking just in Doctor, I'm talking about across the spectrum. It's just, I miss the good old days of, like, say, Delgado's Master. I miss the good old days of, just the sinister, evil character in the background, pulling the strings and doing the nasty bits. Okay, so like I said, right there, the villain turned me off from minute one. It just got to the point I was gonna, oh goodness. As I stated earlier this week, the bar is here now. The bar is up here. And that's thanks to Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian. That's thanks to Nolan with his work on the new Fallout series. It's up here. Doctor Who's fallen in here. It's not quite up there. It's not making it. And oh, goodness gracious. And I did enjoy the concept of the villain, taking away, musical talent and then, just put, using it. And then eventually it leads, to this terrible version of the 60s we land in where everybody's like doing these bad jingles. I mean, anyone who tries to do like, regular tune or something like that, everybody's like, backing away, like, you just waved a crucifix in the vampire's face. It's like, no, it got to be that bad. Also, the tribute, the Pyramids of Mars. They're going to call this a tribute. They're going to call this homage. I call it plagiarism. I'm sorry. It was an outright cut and paste copy of the scene from Pyramids of Mars where Tom Baker shows Sarah Jane Smith as Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, the possible future in 1980 if Sutekh is not stopped. It just felt to me like, okay, it's been how many years? Maybe I can get away with this now. That's what it came off to me as. It felt more like plagiarism than it did a homage. It was just blatant copy. I was like, okay, I know where this is going. It's like, because I've seen this before. Now, I know most of the viewing audience who are out there today have not. Bully for them. But it just felt like a complete copy and paste. So, and then, of course, we have limited episode times. Limited episode times. What was the one thing everyone bitches about in Doctor Who from like almost the beginning of the new series till now? The plots are rushed. Here was an extra 2.5 minutes at the end you could have dedicated to more storytelling, to investigating some other options, or maybe even, as William said, taking a peek in on, even if it was a faraway shot of, say, Susan and the doctor in the junkyard, whatever. But no, we put in this wild, outrageous music number, which contributes nothing to the plot, was just thrown in as a patter. And that was the one thing that I really felt like as I watched this episode. It felt like it was padded out to 45 minutes. And then they threw in this musical number to make sure it makes the minimal time. And it did nothing for me. I was like, what the hell is this garbage? Why is this even here? Now, of course, yeah, you did mention, of course, yeah, Susan Twist did make yet another appearance in this episode. Yeah, she was the quote-unquote tea lady or lunch lady, however you want to view it. So that's going to be a mystery that we're going to have to look into later on, if this character turns out to be some, because this particular actress has popped up a couple of times now. All right, AJ, go ahead and hop in.
Sorry, I was just going to say the music montage reminded me of an Austin Powers movie. I was just waiting for Mike Myers to come running across the screen going, "Shagadelic, baby!"
Yeah, well, the thing was, it made me have a flashback back to the episode of Torchwood. It was called Captain Jack Harkness. And in that episode, you were supposed to have a musical number where Captain Jack sings Anything Goes. They cut it. Why? Contributed nothing to the plot. It wasted time on screen. And but now we're going to just deliberately throw this in because, oh, looky, it's a musical number.
I wish the doctor would have mentioned, I had a situation like this when the Beatles didn't exist, and that's of course fanfare for the common men. I know this episode does not, borrow from the Big Finish audio, but I wish if you're gonna borrow certain character that has appeared in Big Finish, you need to bring them up, and give them, like that. But I'm still ticked off. And that Mary Shelley shenanigans last season, that really got me on my last nerve. But again, you couldn't afford one fucking song.
The thing is, though, if they go down that path, there have literally been, oh heck, I've lost track of how many Big Finish stories there are. You'd be so busy having people go back and listen to Big Finish stories to try to figure out, okay, where are we going to mention this and this, mention this and this. And as far as I was concerned, Fanfare for the Common Men was a Fifth Doctor adventure. Mm-hmm. And if I remember right, that whole alternate timeline was resolved and corrected at the end.
But I wish you would have mentioned, hey, somebody tried to change history with the Beatles. And I did this before. He would have just, tell Ruby that. That's like a little talkative joke. But just to give nod to Big Finish. Again, hey, people out there, you love Doctor Who so much to watching on TV. It's not on 24 hours, 365 days. There are things to fill up your time and listen to Big Finish.
Sorry, yeah, they hit my point right there. Or a high school musical or Glee scene. And this is not Glee. This is not High School Musical. This is Doctor Who. Yeah, sure. I don't mind the occasional music number in an episode, but when you're having this is becoming a disturbing trend, even in Star Trek and all that. It's why for some reason we just have to unnecessarily make everybody break out in song every now and then. I don't know why.
This could have been added again. I said it.
Should have been a DVD option. You're right.
It could have been a DVD option and do the Susan thing. Well, that's it.
All right, AJ, you got your finger up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just had the thought. There was that episode of Buffy that was a musical where that story made sense, and there was a reason for everything that happened within that story, and then it just sort of ends, and there's no more music after that. I think RTD watched that episode maybe on repeat and says, "How can I use this and twist it into Doctor Who?"
The problem there, he's twisted it so much, it was a scene that was not needed. So that no, that makes no sense.
An ad for the record, which Susan is listening to on the radio, is on the note board in the Abbey Road studios.
Yeah, it is.
I'll have to go back and look for that. I missed that. Okay, thanks for pointing that out.
If you go to the Easter eggs thing on the Who culture, they actually explain exactly where it is. It's pretty shadowed out, so you won't be able to see it very well.
Oh, okay.
But in that, I would also point out, after watching that video on Who culture, the whole thing with the reference to Pyramids of Mars, that apparently Davis has wanted to do a reference to that in that kind of context ever since he brought the show back in 2005. That's why he finally did it here.
But he had chances previously with the 10th Doctor with Pfizer Pompeii, at least so far off the top of my head, where if the I can't remember the name of the volcanic enemies, but if they got their foothold on Earth and they would have destroyed it, that's why he had to blow up Vesuvius.
Yeah, well, either way, I don't know what issues Russell had all through his original tenure, but now he's finally got the opportunity to do what he wanted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Also, remember Fire's a Vulcan.
Big Finish again.
Big Finish. Yeah. So on one side of Pompeii, you got the 7th Doctor, and then on the other side of Pompeii, you had the 10th Doctor.
The 10th Doctor.
Yeah. So okay, well, let's go ahead and let's rate this sucker. We'll put it to bed. Let's start with DWC. Out of 10, how do you rate the double score?
Look, I actually really did like this. I did like Maestro. I did like the whole concept of it. Hell, I even loved in the final confrontation bit where I was actually a bit creeped out when Maestro actually trapped Ruby in the cello and the Doctor in the drum. I was actually on tender hooks at that point. So this was exciting for me. I didn't mind the musical bit at the end. So that's why I'm probably going to be the highest here, but I gave it an 8. I give it an 8. I really do like this episode.
All right, AJ, what do you give it out of 10?
I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5 out of 10. I equate this to Love and Monsters when it comes to how good it was. I'm not sorry for that at all.
William?
Give it a 4. It would have been higher if that music, it could have almost been a 10 if they would have done my ending, because everybody would have been talking about it everywhere, on how he still thinks of her and he wants to see her. And instead, you jump to this nonsense that was no plot point for it. You could have added that as a DVD extra. So that's that.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4. Like I said, it wasn't my bag. It wasn't my particular cup of tea. So it just didn't work for me. But like I said, I understand a lot of people out there did like it. And like I said, I don't begrudge you in any way, with different strokes for different folks. But to me, it just didn't work. Okay, folks. So don't forget to join us next time. We'll be back here next Friday around the same time. We're going to have a talk about Boom, the Stephen Moffat episode. We'll see, how it comes out. It's kind of, interesting, that Moffat's back. He's also written the Christmas episode, Joy to the World. So, I think that I just read an article that when Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, I guess, when they found out that, Moffat was back writing an episode for Doctor, I know Peter Capaldi broke out in laughter. And I believe Matt Smith did too, because I don't think they ever thought that he was going to go back, given a lot of the stuff he had to go through, in his tenure. So, we'll have to wait and see, and see what's up to Moffat's regular standard. A pretty good episode. We'll check into it next week. So take care, everybody. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you all in the future.
Be seeing you.
Have a great night, everybody.